I'm Thomas LeRoy, founded the sect of the Horn God. Now, yesterday the Supreme Court okayed or allowed gay marriage or same-sex marriage to be the law of the land, which is great. I'm one of those freedom-loving types. I don't care what anyone does, as long as it doesn't hurt others. Some cases it's okay to hurt others, but and sometime in the future, we will look back at it being practically unthinkable that gay marriage was at one time against the law. It'll just seem so ridiculous to us, just like I don't know, people of different races being able to marry. At one time, that was against the law, and today that sounds really fucking ridiculous. And someday, like I said, we'll look back at gay marriage the same way. Now, all of this makes me think of the evolution of the American psyche, let's say, how it's evolved. How, for instance, biracial marriage was against the law. How, let's say, black people in this country were looked at as just subhuman in some cases by the average, let's say, American, to the point that we whites, if you will, if we had the money, we had them as slaves. Not only we, but also Native Americans had black slaves, and freed blacks had black slaves, and so on. It was just very common. And right now, in our day and age, just things, it comes across as being completely unthinkable. Now, recently, Ben Affleck, he was on some television show that traced back his lineage, and he discovered that one of his ancestors owned slaves. So he wanted that segment of the show removed, or maybe the whole show, I don't know. And that got me to thinking. Now, that delves into guilt. And many white folk have that white guilt, let's call it. Now, me being predominantly white, even though I have some other races mixed in there too, do I feel any guilt? And the answer to that is no. Why should I feel guilt for what my ancestors did? Now, let's say, for instance, any of you, found out that your great-great-grandfather was a piece of shit that molested children. Would you feel guilty? You shouldn't, because you didn't do it. He did it. He was a piece of shit. He did it. You should not feel guilty for the actions of simply people who share the same genes as you. See, that's Christian morality. That gets back into that subject I like so much, and that Nietzsche addressed so often. Guilt. Guilt's a motherfucker. It's a way of keeping you, let's say, mentally down, making you feel like a piece of shit for something you never did. Why subject yourself to it? I don't get that. I don't get it at all. It's a tool used by let's call them the politically correct, by those who see themselves, also by those who see themselves as victims. Try to make you feel guilty for what? You shouldn't feel guilty for anything that you personally did not do. Like I say over and over, I've said in multiple videos, it's about time that you thinking person, let go of guilt, and let go of Christian morality.